On June 24, 1967, 6 young men prepared to explore a dangerous cave system in Yorkshire, England. All were experienced cavers, used to tight passages and long underground stretches. Among them was Michael Ryan, a 17-year-old boy passionate about adventure and geology. The cave chosen that day was called Mossdale Caverns. It was known in the community as one of the most treacherous in the country. The entrance was discreet, just a crack between rocks near Mossdale Scar. But inside, it turned into a maze of low tunnels, narrow curves, and crawling passages. That morning, the weather was cloudy but calm. No one imagined what was about to happen. With ropes, flashlights, helmets, and backpacks, the group began the descent. The plan was to explore one of the tightest sections, the far marathon crawl. It was so narrow they could barely turn their heads inside. The team moved in single file, slowly pushing through every inch. Outside, the weather changed without warning. A heavy rain hit the area earlier than expected. The limestone terrain quickly absorbed the stormwater, and that water started flowing directly into the cave. Down below, the air grew damp and heavy. The floor became slippery. Small trickles of water turned into rushing streams. Then came the sound, the roar of floodwater echoing closer. They realized what was happening too late. The cave was flooding. There was no time to turn back. The path they came through was already partially submerged. They tried to return, but it was impossible. Water rushed violently through the tunnels. They were trapped in the narrowest part of the cave with no way out. On the surface, no one noticed the group was missing for the first few hours. But by nightfall, concern set in. Rescue teams were called. Experienced volunteers rushed to the entrance of Mossdale Caverns. It was pouring rain. Visibility was terrible. The cave entrance already showed signs of flooding. Still, the rescuers decided to go in. They worked in shifts, crawling through the same tunnels the boys had crossed. The first day passed with no signs of the group. Then came the second. The rescuers advanced a bit further, but there were still strong water currents in many flooded areas. It was impossible to go any deeper, so they had to retreat again. Only on the third day did the water levels begin to drop. Then, the rescuers resumed the journey, crawling through narrow cracks and tight passages until they finally reached the far marathon crawl. And what they found there was devastating. Michael Ryan was still wearing his helmet. The headlamp attached to it no longer worked. All 6 were dead. Their bodies lay side by side, trapped inside the tunnel. They were just a few meters away from a slightly higher area, which might have saved them, but they couldn't reach it. Removing the bodies was extremely dangerous. The area was too unstable and narrow. After discussions with the families, a painful decision was made. The bodies would be left inside the cave. The entrance was sealed with concrete. Outside, a plaque was installed in memory of the 6 young men. It bears all their names: Michael Ryan, Jeffrey Workman, John Ogden, David Adamson, Terry Watson, and Colin Vickers. The tragedy shook the entire British caving community. It was considered the worst cave disaster in British history, and it led to permanent changes in safety protocols. From that point on, checking the weather forecast became a mandatory rule for any underground exploration. Today, Mossdale Caverns is seen as a tomb. No one enters anymore. The James G. Mitchell incident. On February 13, 1965, James G. Mitchell, 23 years old, set out with 2 friends in search of adventure. He was passionate about caves. That day was freezing, and snow was falling. Alongside his 2 friends, he headed into the Mannheim forest. Their destination was a nearly unknown cave, discovered by local teachers. They called it Schroeder's Pants Cave, a strange name for such a treacherous place. Upon arriving, they began preparing for the descent. Mitchell went first, tied the rope to a secure anchor point, fastened the harness to his body, and began descending. Inside, the space narrowed quickly. It was dark, wet, and freezing. The main shaft dropped over 20 meters. In the middle of the shaft, there was a small underground waterfall. Cold water flowed constantly. James wanted to examine a side opening, but something went wrong. The rope twisted. His body turned. James called for help. His friends shouted. James answered, but with difficulty. They tried pulling him back, but he wouldn't move. The rope was pulled at the wrong angle. Time passed, and the water didn't stop, hitting his chest, his face, chilling his bones, freezing his skin. He was trapped, his arm tangled, his torso pressed against the wall. The waterfall poured directly onto him. Icy, Relentless. His body temperature began to drop. James started trembling. Then his voice grew faint, until it disappeared. His friends ran for help. Within hours, experienced cavers, firefighters, and military personnel arrived at the scene. It was a difficult rescue. The rescuers began descending, tried to warm him up, tried to adjust the rope, but his body no longer responded. The rescue was impossible under those conditions, as the cave was too treacherous and had already begun to collapse. Removing James would have put others at risk. The rescuers returned to the surface and explained the delicate situation to his friends. In the end, they decided to seal the cave permanently, using stones. James Mitchell was dead. James remained inside for over 40 years. Only in 2006, with modern technology and specialized teams, were James's remains recovered. His brother, Bill, followed everything closely. And finally, he was able to bury him with dignity. Today, Schroeder's Pants Cave is avoided by everyone. It is remembered as a dark, icy trap, and James's death still stands as a brutal reminder of the dangers below the surface. A body suspended, trapped, underwater, no way out, and no warmth. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel. The next story is already being unearthed, and it begins where this one ends.